A violinist is suing Will Smith, claiming retaliation after he alleges that he was fired for reporting sexual harassment while on tour with Smith. Brian King Joseph filed the lawsuit in California earlier this week, accusing Smith of deliberately grooming him for sexual exploitation.
This is the story of Brian King Joseph, a 33-year-old electric violinist who placed third on America's Got Talent, and how his dream job touring with Will Smith allegedly turned into a nightmare that ended in a lawsuit. On December 30th, 2025, Joseph filed a civil lawsuit in Los Angeles County Superior Court against Will Smith and his management company, Treyball Studios Management, alleging sexual harassment, retaliation, and wrongful termination. The claims center on a bizarre hotel room intrusion in Las Vegas and what Joseph says happened when he reported it. Will Smith's attorney has categorically denied all the allegations, calling them false, baseless, and reckless. So what exactly is Brian King Joseph claiming happened, and what does the evidence actually show? Let's break down everything we know about this case. Before we get into the lawsuit itself, you need to understand who Brian King Joseph is, because this isn't some unknown musician making accusations against a celebrity. This is someone many of you probably remember.
Will Smith is facing legal troubles. Musician Brian King Joseph is accusing the actor and his management company of wrongful termination and retaliation, according to a lawsuit obtained by NBC News and People.
Brian King Joseph is a 33-year-old electric violinist from Washington, D.C. Back in 2012, he received a full presidential scholarship to Berklee College of Music, which is one of the most prestigious music schools in the country. But he had to withdraw after being diagnosed with a neuropathy disorder that affects his nervous system. Despite that setback, Joseph taught himself to play and produce music. He became known for blending classical violin with electronic and pop music, creating viral covers of songs by Coldplay, Kanye West, and Fall Out Boy. His YouTube videos have accumulated over 15 million views, but his big break came in 2018 when he appeared on season 13 of America's Got Talent. He made it all the way to the finals, finishing in third place. During his run on the show, he even performed a duet with the famous violinist Lindsey Stirling. After his audition, Judge Heidi Klum was so moved that she gave him an emotional hug and kiss on the cheek. He later appeared on AGT The Champions 2, though he was eliminated in the preliminaries. So this is an established performer with a significant public profile. And in November 2024, he got what seemed like the opportunity of a lifetime. According to the lawsuit, Will Smith hired Brian King Joseph in November 2024 to perform at a show in San Diego.
In the court docs filed by Joseph with the Los Angeles County Superior Court December 30th, the professional violinist claims Smith and Treyball Studios Management Inc. retaliated against him and ultimately fired him after he reported being the victim of sexual harassment while working on Smith's Based on a True Story 2025 global tour.
Joseph had auditioned at Smith's home, and apparently Smith was impressed enough to bring him on board. That first performance took place around December 16, 2024 at the Observatory North Park in San Diego. And after that show, Joseph claims Smith invited him to join his Based on a True Story 2025 tour and promised him a role playing on Smith's upcoming album. Now, for context, this was a significant moment for Will Smith too. This was his first full-length studio album in 20 years, since 2005. Smith was mounting a major comeback in the music world, and being part of that tour would have been a career-defining opportunity for any musician. The tour was set to kick off officially in June 2025 at the Mawazine Festival in Rabat, Morocco, and would run through the United States, Europe, and the United Kingdom. According to the lawsuit, as Joseph became part of Smith's inner circle, the two allegedly began spending additional time alone. Joseph claims that during this period, Smith told him, quote, You and I have such a special connection that I don't have with anyone else. The lawsuit describes these statements as unusually intimate. Joseph's legal team characterizes this as the beginning of what they call a pattern of deliberate grooming and priming for, quote, further sexual exploitation.
In the lawsuit, Joseph states that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air alum was, quote, deliberately grooming and priming him for further sexual exploitation. The complaint also details an alleged hotel intrusion in March 2025.
Now, I want to be very clear here. These are allegations from a lawsuit. Will Smith's attorney has categorically denied all of these claims. No criminal charges have been filed, and nothing has been proven in court. But let's continue with what the lawsuit alleges happened next. The central event of this entire lawsuit allegedly occurred on or around March 20th, 2025 in Las Vegas. Will Smith was performing at the House of Blues at Mandalay Bay that night. According to the complaint, earlier that day, Joseph's bag went missing. This bag contained his hotel room key. The lawsuit states that the bag was in a van used by cast and crew members, and it was missing for several hours before management returned it to him. That detail becomes important for what allegedly happened next. The lawsuit claims that around 11 p.m. that night, Joseph returned to his hotel room and discovered evidence that someone had entered without forced entry. And here's where the story gets strange. According to the complaint, Joseph found a collection of items in his room that didn't belong to him. These included a handwritten note, wipes, a beer bottle, a red backpack, an earring, HIV medication with another person's name on it, and hospital discharge paperwork belonging to someone Joseph didn't know.
Joseph says the two began spending time alone together during Smith's tour, and he says Smith allegedly told him that they had a, quote, special connection. It also details an alleged traumatic series of events, that's a quote, including Joseph finding that someone had allegedly entered his hotel room while he was not there.
But it's the handwritten note that's perhaps the most disturbing element of this story. According to the lawsuit, the note read, "Brian, I'll be back no later 5:30, just us, with a drawn heart, signed Stone F." The lawsuit states that Joseph, quote, feared that an unknown individual would soon return to his room to engage in sexual acts with plaintiff. Now, who is Stone F? That's one of the biggest unanswered questions in this entire case. The lawsuit doesn't explain who this person is. News reports haven't been able to identify them. The identity of Stone F remains completely unexplained. According to the lawsuit, Joseph immediately reported the incident. He contacted hotel security, took photos of the items, and requested a room change. He also called the police non-emergency line and reported the incident to Will Smith's representatives. Hotel security allegedly confirmed that there was no forced entry into the room. The lawsuit argues that this means only members of Smith's management team who had booked the accommodations through Treyball Studios Management would have had access to Joseph's room. The complaint does not directly accuse Will Smith of entering the hotel room, but it connects these circumstances to what it calls a pattern of predatory behavior and alleges that Smith was behind the alleged grooming.
Where Joseph says he discovered evidence, quote, of a sexual threat of violence in his Las Vegas hotel room. The musician alleges that just days after reporting the incident, a rep for Smith accused him of lying and terminated him.
What allegedly happened next is the heart of the retaliation claim. According to the lawsuit, approximately 4 days after Joseph reported the hotel incident, he received a phone call from Tim Miller, who is described as a member of Smith's management team. The lawsuit claims that Miller accused Joseph of fabricating the entire incident. According to the complaint, Miller allegedly said, quote, "Everyone is telling me that what happened to you is a lie, nothing happened, and you made the whole thing up. So tell me, why did you lie and make this up?" Joseph was then allegedly told that the tour was moving in a different direction and was terminated. The lawsuit points out that shortly after Joseph was fired, another violinist was hired to replace him. Joseph's legal team argues this proves the stated reason for his termination was, quote, pretextual, meaning it was just an excuse to cover up the real reason he was let go. To summarize the timeline, Joseph was hired in November 2024. He performed his first show with Smith around December 16, 2024. The hotel incident allegedly occurred around March 20th, 2025, and approximately 4 days later, he was terminated. His employment lasted roughly 4 to 5 months. Will Smith's album, based on a true story, was released on March 28, 2025, just days after Joseph's alleged firing.
After reporting the incident to police, he alleges a representative for Smith accused him of lying and fired him. Smith denies these allegations. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz joins us now. Liz, this is all new. What else are we learning about these allegations, including the alleged intrusion?
The tour officially kicked off in June 2025 and ran through September, traveling through Morocco, the United States, Europe, and the United Kingdom. Brian King Joseph was not part of it. For months after his alleged termination, Joseph remained silent publicly. But on December 25th, 2025, Christmas Day, he posted a video on Instagram that hinted at what had happened without naming names. In that video, Joseph said, quote, "Earlier this year, I was hired to be a performer on a major tour with somebody who was huge in the industry." He continued, quote, "Getting fired or getting blamed or shamed or threatened or anything like that simply for reporting sexual misconduct or safety threats at work is not okay." And then he added something that suggests he sees himself as part of a larger movement. He said, quote, "And I know that there's a lot of other people out there who have been afraid to speak up, and I understand. And if that's you, I see you." 5 days later, on December 30th, 2025, the lawsuit was filed. So what exactly is the lawsuit alleging? Let's break down the legal claims. The complaint was filed in Superior Court of California, County of Los Angeles. The defendants named are Willard Carroll Smith II, which is Will Smith's full legal name, and Treyball Studios Management, Inc., which is Smith's management and production company. Brian King Joseph is represented by attorney Jonathan J. Delshad. The lawsuit alleges sexual harassment, retaliation, and wrongful termination. It claims that Will Smith engaged in, quote, deliberate grooming and priming of Joseph for further sexual exploitation. From the lawsuit, the facts strongly suggest that defendant Willard Carroll Smith II was deliberately grooming and priming Mr. Joseph for further sexual exploitation. The sequence of events, Smith's prior statements to plaintiff, and the circumstances of the hotel intrusion all point to a pattern of predatory behavior rather than an isolated incident. The complaint does not specify a dollar amount for damages. Instead, it requests that damages be determined by a jury.
Yeah, Kate, so according to the complaint, this all happened in March of last year while the violinist was on tour with Will Smith for Smith's global tour for his latest album based on a true story.
The relief sought includes compensatory damages, punitive damages, attorney's fees, and injunctive relief. The lawsuit claims Joseph suffered severe emotional distress, economic loss, reputational harm, lost wages, PTSD, and what it describes as physiological damage from stress. Will Smith's response came quickly. On January 1st, 2026, Smith's attorney, Alan B. Grodsky, issued a public statement categorically denying all allegations. The statement read, quote, "Mr. Joseph's allegations concerning my client are false, baseless, and reckless. They are categorically denied, and we will use all legal means available to address these claims and to ensure that the truth is brought to light." That's a strong denial. The use of the word reckless suggests the defense may be considering their own legal action against Joseph for making what they claim are false accusations. Joseph's attorney, Jonathan Delshad, spoke to Newsweek about the case. He said, quote, "My client, Brian King Joseph, is a former America's Got Talent star, violinist who was hired by Will Smith to go on tour with Smith for his new album. There is a lot of information that will come out as part of the litigation process that we are not able to share at this time. Brian was very close with Smith prior to the termination and was headlined in one of the concerts." That last part is interesting. There is a lot of information that will come out as part of the litigation process that we are not able to share at this time. That suggests Joseph's legal team believes they have more evidence that hasn't been made public yet. There are several major questions that remain unanswered in this case. First, who is Stone F?
And according to the complaint, there was this intrusion at his Las Vegas hotel room. He came back to his hotel, he says, and found that there was no forced entry, but that someone had entered the room and left a number of items there.
The person who signed the note found in Joseph's hotel room has never been identified. Is this person connected to Will Smith, to his management team, to someone else entirely? The lawsuit doesn't say, and no reporting has been able to explain this. Second, how did someone get into Joseph's room without forced entry? The lawsuit argues that only members of Smith's management team had access to the room keys, but hotel security systems can be complicated. Was there another explanation? Third, why were those specific items left in the room? HIV medication with someone else's name, hospital discharge paperwork for an unknown person, a beer bottle, wipes, a red backpack, and earring. The combination of these items is bizarre and unexplained. What was the purpose? Fourth, did the key really go missing? Joseph claims his bag with the room key was missing for several hours and was in a van used by cast and crew. Did someone use that key to access his room? The lawsuit implies this connection, but it's not proven. And fifth, what actually happened? Was this, as Joseph claims, evidence of a planned sexual encounter that he was never consulted about? Or was it, as Smith's team implies, a fabrication? These are questions that a trial might answer, or this case might settle before we ever know.
In the filing, Joseph claims the experience caused, quote, severe emotional distress, economic loss, reputational harm, and other damages. In response to the lawsuit, an attorney for Smith tells E! News in a statement January 2nd.
This lawsuit doesn't exist in a vacuum. It comes at a particular moment for the Smith family. As many of you will remember, in March 2022, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock on live television at the Academy Awards after Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith. That incident has followed Smith's death ever since and continues to be referenced in coverage of this new lawsuit. Additionally, in late 2025, just before this lawsuit was filed, a separate lawsuit was filed against Jada Pinkett Smith. A former associate named Bilal Salam filed a $3 million lawsuit against her. The details of that case are separate from this one, but the timing means the Smith family is facing multiple legal challenges simultaneously. This lawsuit also arrives during ongoing conversations about power dynamics in the entertainment industry. As the source noted in their coverage, this case adds to ongoing conversations around power dynamics and accountability within the entertainment industry. Brian King Joseph appears to see himself as part of that larger conversation. In his Instagram video, he specifically addressed others who might be afraid to speak up about similar experiences. The public reaction to this lawsuit has been mixed. Most media coverage has been relatively neutral, presenting both sides of the story and noting that these are unproven allegations. But some celebrities have weighed in. Notably, 50 Cent, who has had a complicated history with various celebrities over the years, posted on Instagram on January 2nd, 2026. His comment was, quote, "WTF is going on? I got a movie I want Will for. This fool just mad he got fired."
And according to the complaint, there was a letter, the handwritten letter that was written that said, "Brian, I'll be back, just us," with a drawn heart, and it was signed by someone who identified as Stone F. There were also wipes, a beer bottle, a red backpack, a bottle of HIV medication with another person's name on it.
That's a dismissive take on the allegations, essentially suggesting Joseph is just a disgruntled former employee. On the other side, Joseph has received support from his fans. On January 2nd, 2026, he posted on his Instagram story saying, quote, "The support means a lot, you guys, thank you," with praying hands and heart emojis. As of January 2nd, 2026, this case is in its absolute earliest stages. The lawsuit was only filed 3 days ago. Here's what has happened so far. The complaint was filed on December 30th, 2025. Will Smith's attorney issued a public denial on January 1st, 2026, and the case has received widespread media coverage. Here's what has not happened yet. The defendants have not been formally served with the lawsuit. No formal answer or response has been filed by the defendants. No motions have been filed. No court dates or hearings have been scheduled. No settlement discussions or mediation have been announced. No judicial rulings have been made on any matters, and no criminal charges have been filed. What happens next? Under California law, once the defendants are formally served, they typically have 30 days to file a formal response or answer. The defense may choose to file motions to dismiss the case. If the case proceeds past that stage, it would enter the discovery phase where both sides exchange evidence.
Mr. Joseph's allegations concerning my client are false, baseless, and reckless. They are categorically denied, and we will use all legal means available to address these claims and to ensure that the truth is brought to light.
There's also potential for settlement discussions at any stage of this process. It could be months or even years before this case is resolved, if it ever goes to trial at all. Many civil cases settle out of court before reaching that stage. Let me be clear about what we actually know versus what is alleged. What we know for certain: Brian King Joseph was hired to work on Will Smith's tour in late 2024. He was terminated in approximately March 2025. He filed a lawsuit on December 30th, 2025, alleging sexual harassment, retaliation, and wrongful termination. Will Smith's attorney has categorically denied all allegations. What is alleged but not proven? That Will Smith engaged in grooming behavior toward Joseph. That someone entered Joseph's hotel room and left sexually suggestive items. That Joseph was fired in retaliation for reporting the hotel incident. That there was any intent to sexually exploit Joseph. What remains unexplained? The identity of Stone F, how someone allegedly gained access to Joseph's room. The meaning of the items allegedly found there. The full truth of what happened. This is a case that raises more questions than it answers at this stage. A talented musician who was on the cusp of what could have been a career-defining opportunity says he was targeted, harassed, and then fired when he reported it. A legendary entertainer says the allegations are false, baseless, and reckless. The legal process will now take over. Evidence will be presented, depositions will be taken, and eventually either a settlement will be reached, the case will be dismissed, or a jury will decide who's telling the truth. For Brian King Joseph, filing this lawsuit means putting his reputation and career on the line. If his allegations are proven false, the consequences could be severe. But he appears committed to his account of what happened, telling his followers that reporting sexual misconduct or safety threats at work should never result in being fired, blamed, or shamed. For Will Smith, this is another challenge to navigate in what has been a turbulent few years. His attorney's emphatic denial suggests they're prepared to fight these allegations vigorously. What we can say for certain is that this story isn't over. The legal process is just beginning, and as Joseph's attorney noted, There may be information that comes out during litigation that we don't know yet. I'll continue to follow this case as it develops, and if there are significant updates, you'll hear about them. What do you think about this case? Do you have questions I didn't address? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video informative, please consider subscribing. We cover stories like this with the depth and context they deserve, separating what we actually know from speculation and giving you the full picture. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.